After 5 years as a senior mortgage consultant at Elite Lending, I've watched hundreds of loan officers fail. And I mean completely wash out of the industry. And you know what? 99% of them blame the exact same thing. Bad luck, bad timing, bad market, bad leads. But here's what nobody wants to hear. Luck has nothing to do with it. 3 words changed my entire career. And if you're struggling right now, if you're making calls that go nowhere, sending emails that get ignored, wondering why that top producer in your office seems to get all the good clients, this is going to make you uncomfortable. But the truth is, they're not lucky. They just understand something you don't. Volume negates luck. Now, before you think this is just another make more calls motivational video, understand this goes way deeper than that. This is about fundamentally changing how you approach your entire business, your career, your life. I'm Jose Bencomo, senior mortgage consultant here at Elite Lending. Over the past 5 years, I've originated hundreds of loans, worked with everyone from first-time buyers scraping together their down payment to real estate investors doing million-dollar deals. I've lived through rate spikes, market crashes, and every excuse in the book. And I can tell you this with absolute certainty. The people who succeed in this business, the ones who crush it year after year, they're not the ones with the best circumstances. They're the ones who understand this one principle. Volume negates luck. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly what that means. I'm going to show you 4 specific areas where you can apply this principle starting today. I'm going to expose the uncomfortable truth about why you're probably lying to yourself about how hard you're really trying. And look, if you're serious about actually growing in this business, about breaking through whatever plateau you're stuck at right now, hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be dropping videos like this every single week. Real strategies and advice from someone who's actually in the trenches closing loans every single day. No theory, just what's going to bring you success in 2026. Without further delay, let's dive right in. All right, so the biggest thing that stops people from doing high volume, it's not time, it's not resources, it's fear of rejection. Nobody wants to be the annoying loan officer. Nobody wants to get told no, and no one wants to feel like they're bothering people. So let me give you an analogy that completely changed how I think about rejection. And stick with me here because it might seem weird at first, but it'll make perfect sense. Think about asking someone to prom in high school or any big ask in a relationship. Doesn't matter. Imagine your parent is watching you date different people throughout high school and college. And every time you start dating someone new, your parent says, you're going to break up with this person. First relationship, you're going to break up. And they're right, you break up. Second relationship, you're going to break up. Right again. Third, fourth, fifth, you're going to break up with them. Right every single time. Your parent is literally correct 99% of the time because most relationships end. That's just math. But then you meet that person you marry and your parent says the same thing. You're going to break up with this person. And this time, they're 100% wrong. Now, here's the question. If you had listened to your parent and never dated anyone because you're going to break up anyway, where would you be? You'd never find your spouse. You'd be alone, using their accurate prediction as an excuse not to try. Now, apply this to your business, to sales, to anything you're trying to do. Your friends, your family, maybe even that voice in your own head. They're all saying that it won't work. They're not going to respond. You're wasting your time. Stop bothering people. And you know what? They're going to be right about most of your attempts. That lead you called 7 times, maybe not responded. The realtor you reached out to might already have a preferred lender. That LinkedIn message might get ignored. They'll be right 99 times out of 100. But they'll be 100% wrong about the one that changes everything. Here's what I need you to understand, and I mean really internalize this. You lose nothing from no. You only stand something to gain from yes, and one yes can change your entire life. Every no you get, you're literally in the same position you were before you asked. You had 0, you still have 0, you lost nothing, but you gained something, experience. You're less nervous for the next call, you learn from what doesn't work, you built your rejection tolerance, and the yes, pure upside and pure gain. So let's do the math on this. Say you reach out to 100 potential clients or referral partners. 99 say no or ignore you. Are you worse off than before you started? No, you're in the exact same position, except now you have 99 data points you didn't have before. But you also have one yes. And depending on what you're asking for, that one yes could be a $3,000 commission, could be a referral partner who sends you 2 deals a month for the next 5 years, could be a client who refers you their entire family to you. You either learn or you win. Both outcomes make you better off than if you never tried. So here's what I want you to ask yourself and be brutally honest. Am I willing to be rejected 99 times to get one life-changing yes? If your answer is yes, then you need to start asking, start reaching out, start creating volume. And if your answer is no, then you need to accept something. Fear is choosing your life right now, not you. Fear is deciding your outcome, your success, your future, and you're letting it. Look, I get it. Rejection sucks. It feels personal. It feels like you're bothering people. I've been there. I've sat at my desk staring at a phone number, feeling my stomach turn because I didn't want to make the 8th call to someone who hasn't answered. But here's what I realized. The temporary discomfort of rejection is nothing compared to the permanent discomfort of staying stuck. Now, let me show you exactly how to create that volume in a way that actually works. So we've covered the mindset. You're not afraid of rejection anymore. Now let's talk about the method. Because here's the thing, volume alone isn't enough. It has to be the right kind of volume. So let me show you the difference between what 99% of people do versus what the top 1% do. What most people do when they get a lead, they submit their information. Maybe it's a pre-approval request. Maybe it's someone who filled out a form on their website, whatever. They make one phone call, leave a generic voicemail. Maybe they send one follow-up email 2 days later with some copy-pasted message about rates. Then they wait. They don't hear back. They assume the person went with someone else. They move on to the next lead. Result? They get lost in the pile with every other loan officer doing the exact same thing. Now, let me show you what the undeniable strategy looks like. This is what I do, and this is what every top producer I know does. First, I research if they're buying a home. I look up the neighborhood they're interested in. I pull up comps. I look at recent sales. I understand their market. This takes maybe 15 minutes. I write a personalized email that addresses their specific situation. I reference the neighborhood they're looking at. I mention a recent sale in that area. I show them I actually paid attention. Then, and this is where most people stop, I go find 4 to 5 people connected to this potential client. Maybe they're connected to a realtor who has them as a client. Maybe they mentioned their employer on the form. I find people on LinkedIn, could be mutual connections, could be people in their network who might know them. And I send each of them a personalized message, not copy paste. Each one is unique. Hey, I noticed you connected to Jim Barr. I'm working on getting them pre-approved for a home in the Kendall area. If you talk to them, would you mind mentioning that I'm here to help? I promise I'll take great care of them. Now, do I do this for every single lead? No, that would be unsustainable. But I do this for the leads I actually want. The ones that fit my ideal client profile. The ones where I know I can add real value. And here's why this works. You're not competing on qualifications anymore. You're competing on effort. Think about it. The most qualified loan officer in your market right now might have 10 years or more of experience, a Rolodex of thousands of past clients, and the best rates in town. But if all I did was send one email and you did what I just described, who gets the deal? Who do they remember? Who do they feel actually cares about their success? You do. I call this the undeniable formula. And it has 4 levels. Let's go through each one. Level 1, do what's expected. Submit the application, make the call, send the email. Basic stuff, everyone does this. Level 2, do what's recommended. Write a cover letter, follow up twice, be professional, and then most people stop here. Level 3, do what's unexpected. Personalize messages to multiple people in their network, research their specific situation, show that you actually care. And level 4, do what's uncomfortable. Show up in person, mail something physical, go beyond what feels normal. Levels 3 and 4 are what separate you from 99% of your competition because most people aren't willing to do what's uncomfortable. Now, here's where the volume piece comes in. If you do this for 5 potential clients this week, maybe 1 responds. Maybe. If you do this for 50 over the next month, you'll probably get several responses, a few appointments, maybe close a deal or two. But if you do this for 500 over the next 6 months, you will get business. It's mathematically impossible not to. So let me say it in a different way. If you spend 4 hours researching, personalizing, and executing this strategy for every single opportunity that came your way, and you did this for 1,000 leads over the next year, I promise you, you would not be struggling. You would be one of the top producers in your market, guaranteed. And it's not because you got lucky. It's not because you're the most talented, but because you out-efforted everyone else to the point where luck became irrelevant. So here's your action step for this week. Pick 10 ideal leads or potential clients. Not 100, just 10. People you actually want to work with. Spend 4 hours on each one. Research them. Personalize your approach. Do all 4 levels of the undeniable formula. And if 10 doesn't get you results, do 100. If 100 doesn't work, which it will, but if it doesn't, do 1,000. Keep going until it's mathematically impossible to fail. So now you're not afraid of rejection, and you know how to apply volume in the right way. But there's still a question you're probably asking. Jose, how much volume is enough? How do I know if I'm doing enough? That's what we're covering next. All right, real talk time from Jose. And there's the part that's gonna make some of you real uncomfortable. Most people who are struggling right now, they're working hard. I'm not saying you're lazy. I'm not saying you're not putting in the effort, but there's a massive difference between working hard and working hard enough to actually get ahead. So let me explain this with a story about Kobe Bryant. So if you know anything about Kobe, you know he was obsessed with winning, obsessed with being the best. And early in his career, he wasn't the best. There were players more talented than him, more experienced, and more skilled. But here's what Kobe did. Everyone else on his team, every other player in the NBA was doing 1, maybe 2 practices per day. That's standard. That's what you're supposed to do. Kobe did 3 practices a day every single day. And here's what happened over time. Phase 1, Kobe is worse than the other players. He's working 3 times as hard, but he's starting from behind. So he's still not the best. Phase 2, Kobe catches up to them. The extra volume, the extra reps, they close the gap. Now he's as good as everyone else. Phase 3, Kobe pulls ahead. Now he's better than them and they can't catch him. Phase 4, Kobe keeps doing 3 practices per day even after he's the best. Why? Because if he stops, they'll catch up. Here's the key insight, and this is where most people get it wrong. If the other players decide to start doing 3 practices per day to catch up to Kobe, what happens? They don't catch up because now they're matching his rate of improvement, but he's already ahead. They can keep up with him, but they can't catch him unless they do more than 3 practices per day. Now let me apply this to your career, to your business, to your life. The person ahead of you, the top producer in your office, the most successful person in your field, here's what they're doing. They're working 8 to 10 hours per day on high value activities. They've been doing it for 5 years. They have experience you don't have. They have relationships you don't have. They have skills you don't have. They're ahead of you. Now, here's what won't work. Working the same 8 to 10 hours per day that they give you right now. If you do that, you'll stay behind forever because you're matching their current effort. But they already have a 5-year head start. Working really hard for 6 months and then slowing down, if you do that, you'll never close the gap. Yeah, you'll make some progress, then plateau, then slide back. Here's what will work. You need to work 8 to 10 hours per day on what they're working on. Servicing clients, building relationships, closing deals. That's matching their effort. Plus, you need to work 4 to 6 more hours per day on getting ahead. That's learning new skills, reaching out to new potential partners, creating content, applying to better opportunities, systematizing your business. So you're working 12 to 14 hour days while they're working 8 to 10. You do that for 1 to 2 years straight, that's how you close the gap. Then once you catch up, you keep doing it until you're so far ahead that no one can catch you. Now I know what you're thinking. Jose, that's insane. That's not sustainable. That's not balanced. And you're right, it's not balanced. And for a season, for 1 to 2 years of your life, you're going to be out of balance. You're going to sacrifice time with friends, time on hobbies, time doing things that don't move the needle. But here's what I need you to understand. Most people want to stay balanced forever. And that's exactly why they stay stuck forever. The people at the top, they weren't balanced when they were climbing. They went all in for a season, built the foundation, and now they have the freedom to be balanced. There's a quote I love, and right now I don't remember who said it, but it goes like this. You can't just match them to get ahead, because they're always going to be ahead. You got to match their current effort and then do your I'm going to get ahead of you effort. When they clock out is when your work clocks in. When the top producer leaves at 5 p.m., that's when your real work begins. That's when you're making the extra calls. That's when you're learning the new skill. That's when you're reaching out to potential partners. That's when you're getting ahead. So let me make this real practical for you. Identify the top performers in your market or your office. Study what they do every day. How many calls do they make? How many meetings do they take? How much content do they create? What does their daily routine look like? Then commit to doing their daily routine plus 50% more for the next 12 months. Top performer makes 50 calls per day, you make 75. Top producer posts on social media 5 times per week, you post every single day. Top loan officer spends 2 hours per week networking, you spend 4 hours per week. And here's the uncomfortable math that you need to accept. Year 1, you're still behind and you're working 12 to 14 hours per day while they work 8 to 10. This is the hardest year. This is where I see that most people quit. Year 2, you're catching up. You're still working 12-hour days, but now you're seeing results. You're closing more deals, you're building momentum, you're gaining confidence. Year 3, you pulled ahead. Now you can reduce your hours to 8 to 10 per day because you've built systems, you've built relationships, you've built skills, you're efficient. Most people quit in year 1 because it feels unfair. Why do I have to work so much harder than everybody else? Because you're behind. And the only way to catch up is to outwork them. Look, I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this because it's the truth. And if I sugarcoat it, you'll try for 3 months, not see results, and then likely quit. But if you understand the timeline, if you know it's going to take 1 to 2 years of disproportionate effort, then you can mentally prepare for that. You can commit to the season of sacrifice knowing there's a finish line. All right, so now you know you need to do more volume than the person ahead of you. But here's a problem. Most people lie to you themselves about how much volume they're actually doing. So let's fix that right now. Final principle. And this one is going to expose a lie that 99% of people tell themselves. The lie is this: I'm working as hard as I can. I'm doing everything I can. I'm putting in the effort. And I'm here to tell you, no, you're probably not. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as someone who's been there, who's lied to himself the exact same way. Most people think that they're working hard. They say, I worked all day. But when you actually track what they did, here's what happened. 2 hours of actual productive work, calls, emails, client meetings, 3 hours of distractions, social media, chatting, scrolling, 2 hours of low value tasks, rearranging pipelines, updating spreadsheets that don't need updating. That's 7 hours, but only 2 hours of real work actually happened because you lied to yourself about your effort. So here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. Buy a $5 timer, physical timer, not an app on your phone, an actual physical timer that you can see. And here's how it works. Set the timer for 4 hours. That's your daily target. Start the timer when you begin focus work. So calls, emails, content creation, learning real needle moving work. And then stop the timer every time you get distracted. You check your phone or you start scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. Only count the time when you're doing real work. No planning, no organizing, just actual work. You don't get to be done for the day until you hit 4 hours on that timer. 4 hours per day, 5 days per week, That's 20 hours per week, over 1,000 hours per year of actual focused work. Most people don't do 1,000 hours of focused work in 5 years. After 20 hours of learning a skill, just 20 hours, you know enough to start applying it. So the math is this: 4 hours per day, 5 days a week, 20 hours in 1 week, and after 1 week, you're ready to apply what you learned. Now you spend 4 hours per day taking action, making calls, sending emails, reaching out to partners. That's 20 to 30 high quality actions per week. Over 6 months, that's 500 plus actions. Someone will respond. It's impossible not to get results with that kind of volume. This isn't, I'll try it for a week. This is a wake up and realize that if you don't change something right now, you're going to blink and it'll be 5 years from now and you'll be still in the exact same spot, except worse. The timer focuses you to be honest with yourself. You can't fake it, you can't round up. And for most people, the first time they use a timer, they're shocked. I worked all day now turns into I did 90 minutes of real work. I'm not stating this to shame you. I've been there. I used to think I was working so hard, then I started tracking and realized I was lying to myself. Most people have never done 4 hours of focused work in a single day in their lives. Not once, but the timer builds your capacity. Week 1, you might only hit 2 hours. Week 4, you're hitting 3. Week 12, you're knocking out 4 hours consistently. And that skill alone, the ability to focus deeply for 4 hours per day, makes you more valuable than 95% of people. So here's what I want you to do this week. Listen up. Buy a $5 timer. Choose one skill that will increase your income. Set that timer for 4 hours. Only count focused work. And here's the brutal truth. If you can't prove your volume with a timer, you're not working as hard as you think you are. And that's why you're stuck. Not because of luck, not because of the market, because your volume isn't what you think it is. So, okay, let's bring this all together. Now, to summarize, here are the 4 areas where volume negates luck. 1, the prom date. Stop fearing rejection. You either learn or you win. Both outcomes make you better. 2, the undeniable strategy. Compete on effort, not qualifications. Do what's uncomfortable to separate yourself from the 99%. 3, the Kobe principle. Match the top performer's effort, then do 50% more. When they clock out, your work clocks in. Number 4, the timer method. 4 hours of focused work per day. Prove your volume or admit you're lying to yourself. None of that is sexy. None of this is a hack. None of this is luck. It's just volume. Consistent, relentless, strategic volume. After 5 years in this industry, watching hundreds of loan officers succeed and fail, I can tell you, luck isn't real. It's just what unsuccessful people call volume when they see someone else doing it. The market doesn't care about your feelings, your competition doesn't care about your excuses, and your bills don't care whether you got lucky. But volume is a great equalizer. You're going to have to assume that luck isn't real. You're not gonna catch a break. You're going to have to make it happen. You're going to have to force it. You must become unprecedented. And here's the best news. You can do that in less than a year. Now, pick one. Do it for 30 days. First, subscribe right now. I'm dropping videos like this every week. Real strategies from someone closing loans at Elite Lending every day. Second, comment below which one area you're committing to for 30 days. Public commitment makes you 65% more likely to follow through. So comment, I'm going all in on blank area for 30 days. Third, share this with someone you know, someone who's been blaming luck and needs to hear this message. Listen, I don't know your situation, but I know this. If you're waiting for luck, you'll wait forever. If you're ready to make luck irrelevant through volume, you're going to win. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for the luck to show up. Start creating volume and start right now. Now go execute. This is Jose from Elite Lending, signing out.